There seems to be a very strong focus this week on honoring and respecting each country's uniqueness, individuality, and working together through that respect to create progress and even material progress, heal material wounds, etc. Just watch the whole video for the entire breakdown for this week. And just a reminder that this is meant to be a mundane reading and not at all a personal sun sign or all signs kind of a forecast. With that being said, let's jump into the charts for this week. Obviously, we're going to start the week here on Sunday, July 5th. First thing on my list here is we're going to have Mercury in this semi-sextile here to Venus at the end of Leo. So, I get a sense of, you'd have to go back several videos for this, but there's a certain group of people that wasn't, where their voices weren't allowed to be heard. This would have been like at least maybe 2 months ago by now. And now there's some kind of a shift. They've been working behind the scenes on something, and we're going to see this or hear this in some way. They've been working behind the scenes on something, and this feels like an initial, like, it's not like we're going to see it yet, but it's like an initial kind of like draft. The word I'm getting is draft. Initial draft in order to communicate or voice this out in some way. It's being worked on from what I get a sense of with this. Is there anything specifically relating to Mercury retrograde? No, it's not specific to the retrograde itself. It's just maybe the fact that it's just being worked on. It's not being expressed yet. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this, because this is something that isn't going to be in the news or isn't going to be anything like that. We're not going to know what this is. Okay, remember, this is mundane, so this is how this affects us globally, politically, economically, etc. So we're not going to see this yet, and I've gotten this as guidance for quite a while now. And so it's just, we're showing up in this way because that's how this energy is being used, and that's all I'm getting for now. Let's move on. We're going to have Mars here in trine to Pluto retrograde. There is it feels like strong political leaders that are voicing out, saying things, but it's action being taken on those things. And I've said this with Mars and Gemini already. This is very much surrounding aspects of change. Mars is still in conjunction to Uranus, okay, with this trine to Pluto, which is in Uranus' sign of Aquarius. Pluto, I'm being reminded that Pluto is going over old ground. It is retrograde, and it's looking at these old things and saying, no, this can't happen anymore. We need to look at this deeply, transform, change them in the name of progress and moving forward. And this is proper, real, actual progress in maybe even humanitarian ways or as a global thing. That's something that's going to benefit humanity or all of us as a whole here in some way with this. But there's very much, it's like putting your money where your mouth is, but you're taking action on these things in order to make appropriate progress and change in removing old things that aren't working anymore and moving forward to something new in whatever way that is. We're also going to have Mercury here in this biquintile to the North Node at 0 degrees of Pisces. We're getting ready for this nodal shift soon. There is like this relook at things, like I said, with this Mercury retrograde, it's like domestically, focusing domestically, but I feel that this one now is more than that. In a lot of ways, there's a relook now at, it feels domestically, but it's like on the home front, like what can we do for ourselves to understand our new path forward? It's unknown to us, but we know we have to go in this new direction now. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice anymore. And this seems very introspective, reflective, and that relates to this biquintile energy too. This is like behind the scenes kind of work. It's a very feminine energy, but it feels more reflective, introspective, and putting in the work to try to understand, and through what has been brought to our awareness, and try to understand this new direction forward that we have to go in, despite it being unknown, but we know we have to go there and move in that direction anyway. Okay, that is Sunday the 5th. Let's move on to Monday the 6th here. And this is when we're going to have the Sun in Cancer there in square to Saturn. So, I get a sense of with this, it is a domestic focus, but it's like, it's not as restrictive as you might think. What I get a sense of is it's like you can't open yourself up or your borders or your boundaries or whatever until you're ready to, right? It's not saying, it's not a permanent no, but it's like, okay, are you at a solid foundation and ability to be able to support other people, to have them respect you, to have you respect them, like this kind of a thing in this way, while holding solid in your domestic foundation and understanding, and not having to rely on or worry about these other people, and you can handle this stuff. It's like around that there's a very strong, feels like, domestic focus here. It's like understanding these boundaries, and that they're not meant to be rigid. They're there in place to affect a certain thing and move a certain way, and with a certain understanding. Excuse me, whenever I burp like that, sometimes it's usually, the guides being like, yeah, okay, this is something to focus on, or my higher self. Everything is vetted through my higher self, comes through my higher self to me. And yes, my guides are involved. At times, it's not always just my higher self, but I usually tend to know and sense. But it all comes through my higher self. Okay, there's no kind of like channeling here. It just comes through my higher self. I get things in that way. And that way that it can't be hijacked either, because it's my own thing that I'm tuning into. Okay, so Sun square Saturn. Or sorry, to clarify my own energy I'm tuning into. Sun square Saturn. There's nothing more than what I've already said surrounding this. But it's basically about, are you able to support like an influx of other people, or dealing with other countries' stuff, working together in that way? Or do you need to still have the boundaries focused, have boundaries in place to focus on your own domestic needs, sovereignty, abilities, that kind of thing? That's basically the gist of what that is. Okay, let's move on to Thursday the 7th here. Sorry, that's Tuesday the 7th. Not Thursday. We're not there yet. And of course, this is when we're going to have this last quarter moon in Aries. So, and of course, this is basically happening within a degree of that conjunction to Saturn. I think it's literally a similar, if not the same message. And it's kind of like really pushing the awareness or the ability to face this in a lot of ways. These are both cardinal signs, but what I get with this is, especially with Saturn here, there's a stop to almost like that cardinality. Even though Saturn rules Capricorn, which is another cardinal sign, there's almost like a restriction or a stop to this that's like, hey, are you at a stable foundation domestically? Are you able to open yourself up now, or are you not yet? It's okay either way, but it's being an awareness of this fact before you kind of begin to take action and potentially screw things up, or not. Okay, so yeah. We're also going to have Neptune here, which is going to begin I want to say her retrograde on this day. It's always weird tuning into Neptune and Pisces stuff. This feels very reflective, introspective, and it feels like, in a sense, of our individuality But of course, this is a mundane reading, so it's like as a nation, as countries, as people, as cultures. And reflecting on this inner look of who we are, our sovereign being, our own identity. This is almost like an emotional reflection, but at a country level, for each, almost like as countries, as individuals. In terms of, it's not where they stand in the world, it's like who they are, what they represent, what they mean. This is very related to their sovereignty, their individuality, their independence, their individuality as they are a unique nation person, as it relates to that, and that there's refinding that again in some way. That's what I get a sense of with this Neptune retrograde. Okay. Also on this day, we're going to have the sun here in making aspects to the nodes, semi-square the south node and sesqui-square the north node. Okay, these are minor aspects, but you have to keep in mind what I've learned about astrology, and when I do this, minor aspects are minor. They're just as powerful as any other aspect. Okay, you can't tell math that one thing is better than the other. It's just a different angle, that's all it is. It's just a different mathematical calculation, that's all it is. But it's all just math, okay? One isn't better than the other. I'm sure you can have bigger numbers or smaller or whatever, but that's not really what my guidance is here. You can't say one angle is better than the other. It's an angle's an angle's an angle. It's still having an effect no matter what. Okay. Sun making minor aspects. Well, Sun aspecting the nodes. Let's just call it that. There's the sesqui-square to the north node. I get it, this domestic sense again is relating to countries on the home front of their own space here with the sun in Cancer. With the sesqui-square to the north node, it's like really pushing, it's like your own way forward in a new way. Understanding your own sovereignty, independence. Remember, we're still dealing with this square to Saturn, this last quarter moon in Aries. This is very much highlighting still this energy. And it's about releasing what we once thought was practical and how the world used to function in whatever way, and almost like a blending of countries and things. When it's like, okay, there's this idea of like, okay, what I'm trying to say is multiculturalism and stuff isn't bad, but it's about okay. This is a very complex issue, and I'm going to say it as I get it right now, and I'm not going to touch on any kind of multicultural stuff because that's not really what I get with this. This is focusing on you, your own identity, your own independence first, as countries, as nations. And then things start to open up and grow and expand from there. I said this in last week's video, and it's still a similar message. Okay, this is not in any way to incite racism or to anything like that, or to say one is better than the other. No, we're all different, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we all need to learn to love and respect that about each other. Okay, but what this is it's learning to empower yourself through your own unique identity as a nation, etc., and to not let that be watered down or drowned out by somebody else with a megaphone or so in that way, right? Like understanding that and respecting each other for it. Okay, but it's understanding your own identity, your own sovereignty as a home country, on the home front, whatever, as it comes to that. And understanding that your path forward comes to creating your own solid foundation in your own unique way at home, at your own home country first. I'm burping again, so pay attention to this. It's obviously something coming through here. And letting go of the old, what we once thought was practical ways of doing things in that way. Okay, that's Tuesday the 7th. Let's move on to Wednesday the 8th here. We're going to have Venus in this biquintile to Neptune retrograde. Okay, this is not dealing with that group of people, but what this is, people are knowing and understanding now through this reflection and introspective phase and being brought to light in some way here with this Venus and Leo. It's like through partnership and through relationship, through other people in a lot of ways, whether it's through communication or otherwise, through this reflection and introspection of others as we communicate with each other through relationships, friendships, etc. Communicating and understanding through those relationships and bringing to light through those relationships what we have kind of introspected on, that through that it brings more and more awareness to understanding this idea of sovereignty, individuality, etc. Almost like this is mundane, so it's like as nations, as whatever, but respecting that about each other, and then but not hating the other person for being different. It's like being ourselves but respecting others to be allowed to do the same as well. Okay, is what that kind of boils down to. But this is a very reflective, introspective thing, but it being brought to the light through talking about it through relationships and that kind of stuff, etc. This feels more of like a collective type of an energy than anything we may see in, let's say, the news or from politicians or anything like that. Okay, let's move on to Thursday, July 9th now. And this is when we're going to have Venus coming into Virgo. Okay, so I feel like there's many people, how do I say this? There's people with certain relationships to others that are going to be talking, interacting, and then working on practical things. It very much feels like behind the scenes in a lot of ways. Through this to what's anything specific? It's like collectively for governments, for the people, for that kind of stuff. It's the people that interrelate. There's certain relationships and partnerships either within government or between governments and that kind of thing, and those people are talking with each other, doing the practical things to assist and help out. A lot more so on a very practical level now to like honestly get things moving in a lot of practical ways than before. Okay, kind of being drawn to look at this now. Venus is also going to sesqui-square Saturn. I feel like this is in relation to our own independence, sovereignty, etc. But it's about honoring that and respecting that, but still working together. Honoring and respecting boundaries of sovereignty, independence, etc., but still working together within these partnerships. Okay, it's like this can't be swept under the rug any longer. We need to work together, but we need to do so in a respectful way, in honoring and respecting each other, and not saying you have to be this way for me to work with you or anything like. It's like just respecting it, honoring it, respecting other cultures, expressions, etc., but still working together in whatever way. And the reason why this can't be pushed under the rug any longer is we can't go back to old ways of doing things, of like forcing maybe certain regulations, or it's like just allowing each country to work in their own, focusing on those partnerships, relationships in practical ways, but honoring and respecting uniqueness, individuality, and such within those things as well. That's more of a message towards progress than how we've used to have done it before. Okay, there's a switch here, but it's seemingly maybe for some on the surface to be negative from what we're used to, but it's actually not. It's actually more respectful to certain things in a lot of ways. It's just we don't see it that way because of how it may have been misconstrued, or there's subtleties involved here that we don't take the time to fully understand in a lot of ways, which is honestly why it's hard for me to kind of explain this and what I'm getting now as well. It's really it's unraveling what we've been used to, but understanding it's not taking away certain positive understandings that we already know. It's weird. But yeah. We're also going to have Mars here in trine to Juno retrograde. I get a sense of this relates to these partnerships and these people as well, as in certain contracts, etc. This feels more like trade or business or that kind of stuff in terms of these partnerships and contracts. But we're taking action on more what has been said, what has been agreed upon, what has been made aware of, etc. within these partnerships, and reworking them in order to make more appropriate progress in that way. Okay, we're also going to have Mercury retrograde here in semi-square to Mars as well. This is about what I seem is about an awareness that has already been brought up or is coming through, and things that have already been said, etc. And taking action on those things, it feels more of like a reworking of what has been said, what has been made aware of, etc. But taking action on them now, having another look, that kind of stuff. But there's very much an action-oriented pace to this. And just because it's Mercury retrograde doesn't mean you can't take action on things. You can't let astrology just drag you behind like a bus or whatever, right? Understand that, just because it's Mercury retrograde, understand the nuances of Mercury retrograde. And then when you understand that, use that to your advantage in your own life. If you know, okay, as Mercury retrograde, it's having this kind of an effect on me. So then think, okay, what can I do to mitigate that effect then? As an easy example, it's like, let's say Mercury retrograde always makes you late or something like that. There's always delays. Then if you know it's Mercury retrograde, leave half an hour to 15 minutes early for everything that you do, right? Give yourself that ample time, then you won't be late. What I'm being guided to is something that came through in a reading as well. It's like the reason why Mercury retrograde can hit people like a bus is because they just continue to barrel through their lives as if nothing has changed. The energy of Mercury retrograde is more introspective, reflective, relooking at things, making sure of things, that kind of stuff. If you understand that energy and you pivot, you don't have to stop moving forward in your life. You just have to pivot how maybe you do certain things and you work that in. Whereas if you're looking at a contract, make sure you read everything first. Make sure you understand what it is that you're signing instead of just thinking that you do and whatever. Making sure you have all your ducks in a row, making sure all of that stuff. You do all of that, you can continue to sign those contracts and move forward, no problem. It's when you don't work with that energy that things go wrong. But if you understand it, you can keep moving forward, no problem. As long as you understand the energy and you say, okay, this is asking me to reflect on this. This is happening now. Let me reflect on this now as I'm doing this so that I can then continue to move forward instead of having this bite me in the ass a few weeks from now or further in the future or whatever. Okay, deal with it now, understand the energy, work with it now, and then move forward rather than having it hit you like a bus. Okay? So don't have it hit you like a bus. Understand how to use the energy. Don't let it use you. Astrology really doesn't happen to you. It's just people's misconceptions of things. Oh my God, this is happening. It must be because of this alignment in the sky. No, it's fucking not. Yes, those energies do exist in that way, but that doesn't mean that they have to be used in the specific way that it is. It's because you're not fucking paying attention and you're just barreling along, not knowing, understanding the cues around you and taking in your environment and understanding these energetic cycles that it then hits you like that. It doesn't have to at all. You can use these energies when you understand them in a positive way for yourself. It doesn't have to happen to you. In fact, that's wrong. And when you think of it, well, then why do things happen in this way? Why does da-da-da-da-da? Because when you don't fucking listen, your higher self does. Your guides do. Other people do. Okay? It's just how things work. It's like, what I'm kind of getting now is it's to keep things flowing and going, even when you're not bothering to interact with anything. To stop things from remaining stagnant. It's like a river, a water flowing down a river through a stream. It's to keep things going so that you don't remain stuck in one place all of the time. That's kind of what that is. But at the same time, if you want to keep going and have something specific happen, you can work with these energies to have it happen in your own unique way. You do not have to wait for a specific timing of cycle or anything else. That can be of benefit, though, at times when that is necessary. Yes, there can be specific timings where maybe your soul will wait. You know what? We're not going to exit or maybe die at this time or whatever. Let's wait till this point when the energy is more conducive to this happening, and let's exit in this way. Or let's be born in this way instead. Or let's do this or do that or whatever. There's multiple different variables that are occurring here all at the same time, and you get to use that in whatever way that you can. Okay? It's when... And then there's certain things that maybe you've put out there that do become manifest in certain energies because you've asked for them to be. Whether you know it or unknow it, or whether your higher self did it for you, or your guides are helping you, or whatever else. And that's the trick to manifestation as well. If you're not in a place to be able to, enact that upon yourself, you can ask your higher self to do it for you, because your higher self is you and exists in a higher level of vibration and can more easily bring that about for you and can help you. That's the key difference here. You don't necessarily have to be in those alignment with your heart and mind or whatever, because some people really can't be in that place, especially when they're stuck in the shit. Ask your higher self to do it for you. That's the key answer to getting out of, if you find it hard to get out of a negative space or whatever. Ask your higher self to do it for you. And then you can begin that process to move into those places and move and to heal and whatever. Another key thing is people don't realize that their traumas can hold them back. If you don't heal energetically in a lot of ways based on trauma, based on previous experiences, etc., this relates to crying and stuff as well and letting out emotion. If you don't let that out and you harbor that in, that frequency stays with you. And when it comes to the universe, like frequency attracts another like frequency. So if you're carrying a negative frequency, you're going to continue to attract that same thing, same type of relationship, same type of whatever, until you heal what the fuck that is, until you learn your lesson with that, until you understand what that is trying to teach you, and then release it. Okay? Until you understand that, that will be stuck with you until you heal and release it. Then once that is done, you're not going to attract that same thing anymore. That will be healed. So again, when asking your higher self if you want to get out of a certain thing, your higher self may not let that certain thing be healed because there's a lesson that you need to learn there. And it will just bring you more of things to make you aware. You want to get out of this? Well, what about this, this, and this? It's going to make you more aware of certain things to make you learn a specific lesson so that you can get out of that and finally remove yourself from it. So don't just think that it's just going to pull you out if there is a divine lesson that you need to learn, or there is something that your higher self wants you to learn or wants to have the experience of in that way before it can take you out of that. There's multiple different things happening, multiple different vectors. You've made soul contracts, agreements, all of this kind of stuff before even coming here and understanding all of this. This is way more complicated, and there's a lot of things that maybe a lot of people don't know or understand about what they agreed to even before coming here. Right? So what I'm saying is there's a lot more to this. I don't know how I got started on this or what, why this is such a thing right now, but here I am yet again. But yes, don't think that because it's Mercury retrograde that you can't move forward. Yes, it's reflective. Yes, it's introspective. Yes, it's that. But you can still use that energy to your advantage in the examples that I said. As just examples, it's going to be different for everyone, but that's just one way to deal with it in terms of moving forward in some way. I'm feeling guided to say as well, oppositions and squares are not bad. Oppositions seek for balance. Squares seek for action to come to terms with something or deal with something. Okay? If you're constantly always like dealing with things in your life, you've got things organized, under control, etc., this shit ain't going to fucking affect you very much at all. Those squares are barely going to make a dent in your life. Okay, because you've got your fucking shit together. If you don't got your fucking shit together, then yeah, they're probably going to bring things up because you need to be aware of that. You need to take action on certain things. That's how this can come through as well. And again, what I'm being guided is that comes from your guides and your higher self, using this energy to basically kick you in the ass to say, hey, pay attention to this, deal with this, organize yourself, do this, etc. Oppositions, bring things into balance. It's not one sign is better than the other. It's about honoring the other opposite part and respecting that just as much as this other half as well, and allowing them to coexist at the same time. Same thing with masculine and feminine energy. One is not better than the other. They are both equally as powerful, yet they are both different. They are different, but they are both equally powerful in their own unique way. It's not about one is better than the other, it's about honoring both and their ability to coexist together at the same time and learn to get along. That is what that is, okay? Because typically, otherwise, it's just masculine and masculine that enjoy, or feminine and feminine that enjoy being together, okay? Because like usually attracts like. However, you can still balance out the opposites together, and it's those opposites and that energy when it comes into balance and working together that then can push for creation and all kinds of other things. Same with squares as well, and pushing for action in all that way as well. All this stuff works together in this unique way, okay? It's a lot of it is not what we've been led to believe. Anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about. I was talking about Mercury in something. Is that semi-square to Mars? Is that where we're at now? Mercury retrograde and semi-square to Mars. I don't even know what I said about it. I'm just going to move on. Consider this. We're done with this now. We're going to have Juno in this semi-square to Black Moon Lilith as well. This is about not allowing other countries, etc., to be outcasted based off of like how we may be thought, oh, this country is like that, or oh, that. It's like not being like racist or xenophobic or things, not outcasting people in those ways, allowing people to be respecting people for who they are, their sovereignty, their individuality, etc., not outcasting them, and then building partnerships. It's like reworking our idea of partnerships. It's like, okay, why didn't we partner with this country before to do this thing? Well, it's because we had this idea of them that we realize we shouldn't have or whatever. Now let's not outcast them and consider them as a partner, because we can work together if we respect each other. And our uniquenesses and differences. So I think they're definitely wanting everyone to pay attention to that message. We're also going to have Mercury here in quincunx to Black Moon Lilith as well. It relates to the exact same thing. It's understanding, with Mercury retrograde here in Cancer, understanding this domestic focus, but the issue is there's this odd energy with being outcasted for being who you are, but it's like, okay, no, let's rework at this, have a look at this. People need to be allowed to be who they are. We need to understand each country's domestic ability, etc., and allow them to be who they are, etc., and they respect us in that, we respect them in that, and not be outcasted in this way. There's a frustration here because of how countries, etc., have been outcasted before in this way, but we need to learn to honor people's domestic ability, or honor people's natural cultures, or honor people, that kind of stuff, which they will then kind of solve that quincunx energy. Okay, let's move on to Friday the 10th here. We're going to have Venus in trine to Chiron in Taurus. It feels like there's work going on between these partnerships, or these people involved in partnerships in practical ways, but now we're dealing with healing a lot of either financial wounds, material wounds, etc. This is between countries. Healing financial wounds, material wounds, this could be trade wounds, economic wounds, that kind of stuff, etc. And taking action to fix and rework those things. Now Venus is going to be conjunct the South Node and opposite the North Node as well. I feel like this very much relates to we're taking action towards new things, and there's a strong emphasis on letting go of old things that were practical and reworking and building on new things, letting them go in order to heal, let's say, that economic wound or those material wounds, etc., and heal and getting rid of those old practical ways, bringing in new practical ways in order to move in this new unknown direction. It's unknown, but we know we need to move in this direction and continue to go there. But it's very positive to let go of these old things and work on new practical things to heal, etc., and move forward in whatever way as well. Chiron is also going to be aspecting the nodes, the sextile to the north node and this trine to the south node. So there's a new direction going on here, and I feel like it's about, a lot of this is about economics, trade, but also respecting each other, loving each other, supporting each other for individual sovereignty. And that in some way helps to heal the economic wound of things through that respect. And now we can then really begin to positively work with each other and begin to rebuild and heal these wounds of material things, etc., going forward in a lot of ways too. Okay. Now let's move on to Saturday the 11th here. We're going to have the Sun here in semi-square to Uranus. This, I feel, is very much about practical change and moving forward, but honoring the sovereignty and the domestic focus of countries, their sovereignty and independence. There's still that square to Saturn, okay? And what I talked about earlier in this video. It's honoring a country's unique domestic sovereignty, independence, etc., but it's like there's this humanitarian aspect with this semi-square to Uranus in terms of understanding the world as a whole and honoring everybody's unique expression as a country and who they are, and honoring and respecting that. And then that brings a lot of quick movement forward and much better progress and movement forward through that understanding of those things. We're also going to have Venus here in this semi-sextile to Jupiter here in Leo. It's bringing to the forefront on a global stage and into the spotlight these people that are talking with and partnering with and doing this coordination between these different countries, etc., but showing respect and honoring respect of each individual country's sovereignty, but building that respect and honoring and respecting each other to begin to work together in a lot of new, creative, and better ways. Okay, so we've reached the end of the video here. If you have made it this far in the video, please leave a purple heart in the comments so that I know you're a real one. Thank you all for watching. If you are looking to get a personal reading with me, those links are in the description below, or you can head on over to my website, mysticalmark.ca. With all that being said, I don't think I have anything else to say, so hope to see you all in next week's video. Take care, everyone. Bye.